Listen, before we start this video, you can see I'm so happy right now. I just watched the highlights of Game 7 with the Spurs versus OKC. I am so happy right now. I'm genuinely so happy. So happy. Now, I'm gonna assume by the time I uploaded this video, you would have already seen what has happened, but Spurs won. Spurs won. And genuinely, I am genuinely so I don't even know how to explain it. Explain this feeling of just happiness. And you know what? I had an idea for a video. That's what I was gonna. Oh, just like a video right now. But I think I think I'm gonna change the video idea to kind of match what was kind of what I felt and kind of the reason why it was so significant, such a significant moment for me, and related back to the finals. But yeah. So let's get into it, right? So a little bit of context for people who don't really watch the NBA. But today was I think May 30th was the Western Conference Finals, right? Between the best teams in the West, right? Now the West is, I think, without a doubt, the better NBA has the better NBA talent currently compared to the East. Like they're gonna have the NBA Finals whenever, so, but like I think it's pretty obvious the West is gonna win. So this was, in my opinion, probably the most heated, game, right, between the Spurs, who are the second in the West, and the OKC, who are the first. Now, OKC is an amazing team by far, an actually amazing team, right? And they have their bench depth, and that basically just means like the people they have who are not necessarily starting on the pitch, on the floor, the first five, right, are genuinely comparable to some of the best in other teams, right? So OKC's is a great team. No disrespect to them, right? Disrespect is stuff, but the Spurs as well are no slouch as well. They have Victor Wembanyama. I really cannot say his name, but he is like he's the LeBron of our generation, genuinely. Like in terms of skill, in terms of mindset, in terms of just overall, just representing NBA as a whole, right? So these are some of the greatest teams. But the reason why, and I think a lot of people who watch the NBA will know the reason why it was so good to see OKC lose, in my opinion, was the way that they play. They play, a lot of people call it kind of unethical basketball. Now, what is this, right? This is basically where you're kind of foul baiting. You're kind of using the rules to your advantage to kind of obviously win. Now, let's be honest, right? This is game 7, the final game of the series, and this is, Western Conference Finals. Like, it's a very real possibility whoever wins this game will go on to win the final. And this is literally their lives, right? These are what they are paid to do. This is what they spend 24/7 working towards, right? So obviously, if you have anything that you could do to like make your chance of winning that much more, then you're gonna do it. I think that's obvious. No one's going to fault you for saying that, hey, I'm going to do this sort of technique so I have a better chance of winning. If your life, and for a lot of people, ball is life, is on the line. That being said, it is so just disheartening to watch as a fan. And I saw like some of these clips where, like, I'm gonna call him out, SGA. He is jumping into the other person and then getting a foul, getting free throws off of that. And it's a shame. Now, obviously, every single player, every single team is at fault of this, right? Shea was the MVP last year, so he gets special treatment, right? So it's not to say that, hey, this is like, like he's the only one doing it. No, everyone does it, right? Like Wemby in his game against the Timberwolves, a lot of the people were talking about how his blocks weren't being called for goaltending, and that's when either it hits off of the backboard and you block it, or how basketball kind of goes in an arch, right? When it's going down in its arch, then you block it. That's also a goaltend, and that's going to lead to free throws, right? I'm sure, I believe. right? A lot of that wasn't being called, and people say maybe that's the reason why the Timberwolves didn't win against the Spurs, right? It happens, but it is so much more magnified for OKC because this has been happening since the start of the season. The start of the season, even more, maybe even more before. I mean, I only really started watching and keeping up with the highlights at the start of the season because I'm like, oh, LeBron's turning 41, he's still doing it, right? But yeah, it's again, it's like you see people work so hard and it just gets negated by cheap tricks, right? And I think that's kind of the essence that I want to bring is like you people in life are obviously going to take the path of least resistance, right? And I'm not trying to say that SGA, like the OKC teams, are any slouches. These are professional NBA players, 100% through and through. These guys could probably beat me with their eyes closed, arm dislocated, dismantled, like with like them feet tied up, right? Easily. But when you're playing at that level, there's a level of integrity, there's a level of like respect you have for your fellow, peers, your competitors, because they are spending day in day out, day in day out working, right? And to like use these cheap tricks, to use these methods to get points and stuff like that. Yes, you're doing it for the team, you're doing it to win, but can you really call it a win that you're proud of winning with, right? I think that's something to really think about, and something that I think a lot of fans and a lot of NBA players kind of empathize with is that everyone respects like OKC as a team in terms of their lethality, in terms of how good they are as a team. They have phenomenal teamwork. Honestly, I would say probably the Spurs is probably the only one close in terms of that level of teamwork. I'm just remembering the Rockets and the KD Burner files. If you're familiar with that, I won't get into that, but there is definitely levels in terms of how much of a team they are, right? And you can see OKC is a great team. But just to really bring it, really emphasize what I'm trying to say is that when you take those shortcuts, when you do all those different things to kind of win at the expense of like your integrity, at the expense of who you are as a person. Now, maybe that's who they are, but like when you do those things, I think it causes a lot of people to lose respect for you. Now, I've always been somebody who believes that you got to do what you got to do to get the job done, right? And if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do, right? But I also believe in doing things that like not taking the short way out, not taking the easy way out, right? Not to say foul baiting is easy, but I think it is infinitely harder to, set up a play, to pass your teammate, communicate, and then hit that tough three or tough two or that fadeaway, that turnaround, than it is to bump into a person, get two shots that are completely uncontested, and just get points, right? Now, obviously, taking the easy way may lead to you winning, right? But you may win on the outside, but I don't know. I feel like it's a very shallow way of living, right? A very shallow way because you are not living to your full potential, right? Imagine this, like Victor Wembanyama, cannot say his last name, is like 7'5", right? 7'5" or 7 foot something, right? And he's a big guy, right? Do you really think he would be content playing as if he was like somebody who's like 5 foot or something like that, or do you think he'd be content with like I don't know, like not living up to his potential, right? And I think that's kind of that's something that I think that it really is evident when you're on the field, when you're on the pitch, or when you're on the floor, right? Like Shea is such a phenomenal player. He has so many skills. He was the MVP for a reason, right? It's not like he's any slouch, but I don't know. I just feel like when you see that and you just see them jumping in, it just breaks my heart because it's like, come on, man. Like, yes, of course, this is the finals. You got to do what you got to do, but you can do. It's not like you're not capable. You don't need these tricks to win. You can win without it. But it's just a shame. It's just a shame. Yeah. That's really what I wanted to talk about. This one was really all around all over the place. And I apologize, it's not really as structured. I mean, most of my videos aren't really structured, but this one especially. But I finished watching that game, and I just had to make a video. I know this is not like an NBA channel or anything, but it just like I yeah, I just had to make something. But yeah, I'll be watching obviously the finals and seeing how that goes. But I'm gonna put it here. I'm putting it here. I'm putting it on camera. Spurs in five. Spurs in five. Like, come on now. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about, guys. Catch you guys later.